Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's public hearing to order. This is to consider amendments to the Village of Greenhills zoning code. This has been discussed in the Planning Commission. Public hearings have been held there. It was recommended that council pass the amendments to the zoning code, and now it is the opportunity for council to have a public hearing also. So if there are any citizens that would like to comment on the changes to the Greenhills zoning code, please step to the podium, state your name and address and your comments, and we will record those. And I am looking out across the vast plains of the Village of Greenhills and see no citizens that want to make any additional comments that have not already been made. So at this time, I will close our public hearing unless do we have anyone that would like last call for comments on changes to the zoning code? Mr. Suggs.
Can you just read them?
It would take
A long time.
The amendments will take that long? The changes?
Do you want me to?
do you want to, yeah, maybe I'll have the manager just
I thought
summarize.
they were like in italics or something.
No.
No.
2, 3, 6, 7, 8,
They're,
9, 10.
not every change is in italics, I don't think, are they?
Uh,
Why don't you just
yeah,
go ahead
they
and
should.
summarize? Okay,
Sure, I can summarize.
okay, yep.
First change would be proposed is in the definitions section, and it involves the definition of financial institutions, where we have added, I almost have to read the whole sentence to have it make sense. A financial institution is any building, property, or activity of which the principal use or purpose of which is the provision of financial services, including but not limited to banks, facilities for automated teller machines, credit unions, savings and loan institutions, and mortgage companies, and here's the new line, that are FDIC or NCUA insured. Check cashing, pawn shops, payday loan businesses, or similar type facilities are not considered financial institutions. So it's basically a clarification. Second change is actually an addition to the definition section and would insert a definition of channel letter signs. Channel letter signs are individually illuminated letters and graphics. Standard channel letters are made up of a U-channel base with translucent faces. Reverse channel letters are signs that have metal faces and returns, sides are letters, but have a clear plastic backing. These letters are designed to be mounted an inch or two away from the wall or raceway. Open face channel letter signs are prohibited. So that would be an addition that was not addressed at all in our current code.
And that would not be italicized, if you're looking at your,
You're right, that
Yeah.
entire definition.
yeah, because I missed that.
Okay, sorry. Next item is under section 1125.07, residential accessory buildings, and everything remains the same there with the addition of a item C, no accessory building shall be used as a dwelling. And that was for clarification purposes. Then, within our sign regulations, chapter 1149, let's see, a lot of it was not changed until you get to 1149.03, permitted signs in non-residential districts. And the first line was struck, which had indicated permanent signs shall be of a style, material, and design compatible with the associated building. That was actually a new line when we did our code a few years ago, but there wasn't much substance there for review. So we wanted to clarify, first clarification being down under wall signs, where we struck the words paint or incorporated into. So let me just read the section now as it would stand. Every commercial, business, industrial, or institutional use located in a non-residential zoning district may erect and maintain upon the structure of the building or portion of a building in which such use is maintained, either illuminated or non-illuminated signs. This next sentence is new. All wall signs shall be channel letters, and if illuminated, shall be backlit or internally illuminated. If you skip down onto number 1, we've also indicated that all bracing and support structures for those signs that would be visible from a street or residence shall be decorative or covered. Then, further on to section 11, also in 1149.03, we've added an E, which is an alternative signs and sign standards. This whole section is new, so I'll go ahead and read this. It is recognized that individual sites and/or businesses may present unique characteristics, including shape and location, and the design of existing and proposed structures could be best developed through the application of alternative signs or standards which depart from the requirements of this section. In such cases, the Planning Commission may approve alternative signs or standards for on-premises and temporary signs contingent upon finding that the alternative signs or standards will, number 1, result in a site and/or business having a visual character which is as compatible or more compatible with adjacent sites and/or businesses than anticipated by the requirements of this section. Number 2, encourage a development trend or a visual character similar to that anticipated by the requirements of this section. And 3, result in a sign which meets or exceeds all other requirements of this section. And essentially what we're trying to do there, since we are now making wall signs be of the channel letter type, this gives businesses an alternative to present to, for consideration, say channel letters go out, we don't want to have to keep updating our code every time there's a new trend, so this will allow those kinds of things to come before us for consideration. I do want to point out at this point, if I could, there was a question the last time that if an alternative sign was, a design was not approved by Planning Commission, would that go to BZA? I had indicated that I thought it probably would. I wasn't real comfortable with that, so I asked our solicitor for clarification, and in fact, it would not go to BZA. The feeling, and you can say this if you'd like, or I can review your response.
Well, I think the short answer is your code already provides regulations for signs. So think of it like this. You can either follow the rules and have that sign, or you can go through this process to Planning Commission to try to get an alternative sign. If Planning Commission decides that your alternative sign doesn't meet this extra criteria, you don't appeal it to BZA, because you're still left with what the actual code provides for. It's
So
not
thank
quite,
you.
but almost think of it like this alternative sign thing almost is the appeal, so to speak. You're asking there to deviate from what the normal code says.
Mr. Forbes, may I ask a question for clarification purposes? Does that mean that at this point, the next step, if someone wants to fight it, is taking it to court?
Well, I'll say this, people can always take you to court. I'm not even saying at this point that they would have a viable option to go to court, because you already have the base regulations for your sign code. That's what the general rule is, that's what they should follow. If they want to propose an alternative sign, they can, but it's at the discretion of Planning Commission to decide if it meets these additional standards and criteria. If it doesn't, you're not saying they can't have any sign. They can still always go back to what the regular code provides and do that.
And Mr. Forbes, do you happen to know if you would decide to go to the Planning Commission for that, is there a stipend to do so? Is there an amount of money in order
A
to
fee?
process that, a fee
I don't think so.
for the Planning Commission?
There is, for Norton, I wouldn't suspect for this, because it's actually incorporated into the process.
There's no provision in here
Yeah,
to charge people.
there is no-
I don't know if if you have to apply for a sign permit.
Right, it would probably be part of that process.
It's part of that process. I don't have that part in front of me, but I assume that there's some fee potentially
that
for
application.
the sign permit application. But I don't believe there's any additional fee to request this alternative review.
Okay.
Okay, that concludes
Is that
the
it?
summary. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Suggs, did you want to make any comments? Everything clear to you? Okay. We're in a public hearing. Does anybody else want to come to the podium and provide input or testimony? Second chance, third chance. I now declare this hearing closed.
Okay. All right. Call this regular council meeting, September 27th, 2016, to order. Do we have anybody who wants to do a prayer?
I'll do it. Dear Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to serve this community. We pray that you would give us wisdom and discernment. I also pray that you would help those that are sick in our community and help us to love each other. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Cavode,
Here.
Dries,
Here.
Here.
Halter, Hermes. Here. Lee,
Here.
Walther. Here. Moore.
Here. Okay, we have the minutes of the regular council meeting, August 23rd, 2016, and the council work session meeting of September 13, 2016.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Minutes are accepted without exception. Okay. And our clerk has to leave at 8:15 today, so if our meeting runs past 8:15, without exception, we'll excuse the clerk at that time period.
And this is the hardest working clerk in Hamilton County because for continuing education, it starts at 8:30 at night.
Okay, we have an oath of office to do for our new police officer, Mark Yazbek. Are you going to do this, Chief?
You would
Me to do it, please? Okay. I can read this. Okay. Yes, okay. Repeat after me. I, Mark Yazbek.
I, Mark Yazbek,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
Constitution and the laws of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances of the Village of Greenhills.
and the Charter and ordinances of Greenhills.
I will, to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you.
Tell you that we have run some short periods in the Greenhills Police Department this year, but we have had outstanding success in finding some exceptional candidates, and I would ask Mark just to spend just a half a moment to tell you a little bit about himself.
Most of my professional career began dealing with people, in customer service and sales, building relationships mostly. I did serve with the Army Infantry, deployed from 2003 to 2004. Made it home safely, obviously. Started this career kind of late. It just seemed like the best fit for me in the latter part of my life. Yeah, I'm just really happy to be received by this community. It's such a great place. Happy to work here.
Mark, it gives me great pleasure to give you your commission and oath of office. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Okay. At this time, this is the time for residents to comment on matters before council or ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and state your comments or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcriptions. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Okay. All right, moving on.
Hold
report-
on, I think we got, I think
Oh,
we
okay.
got one.
we have a concerned citizen.
We got one.
Um, 94% of Greenhills registered voters did not vote for the last school tax levy idea. 6%, 153 people voted for. 25%, 672 people voted against. 69% did not vote. That's 16 to 1 not for. Also, the Winton Woods School District website mentions nowhere the length of the levy. It's only another $24 per month, they do mention in the brochure, but fail to mention for 444 months, 37 years. So if I bought a house here in 3 years when I'm 20, I would not pay off this debt until I'm 54 years old. Proposed by the Suggs family of 33 Deer Hill Lane, 45218, Greenhills Council Resolution, October 2016. Whereas the Wintonwood City School District serves the educational needs of Greenhills and some of our surrounding communities. Whereas citizens, businesses, and Village of Greenhills government administration continue to gladly support the Wintonwood City School District in many ways, including but not limited to publicity, timely property tax payments, volunteerism, and employment. Whereas the Wintonwood City School District staff and faculty have continued to show genuine concern for our children in their educational care, whereas our citizens have consistently voted against recent tax levy proposals in large numbers described above, whereas the current 37-year bond proposal would be an onerous tax liability in our citizens' children's future, current and prospective homeowners. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that the Council of the Village of Greenhills does not endorse this Wintonwood City School District 2016 bond issue proposal. Section 2, that all registered voters of the Village of Greenhills are encouraged to make genuine efforts to fully understand the relative advantages and disadvantages of this 2016 bond issue proposal. Section 3, that the Council of the Village of Greenhills will seek to make renewed efforts to support the Wintonwood City School District in ways to improve the education of the children. Section 4, this resolution shall be in full force and take effect upon its passage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm Joel Suggs over at 33 Deer Hill Lane, and so that's our proposed resolution, if y'all would want to maybe do that in the next couple of weeks, if you'd like. Because it's obvious to us that 94% of people have not voted for the last one, and those kind of huge numbers are indicative of the last several years of our community. And LA, there's my wife Darlene, she's finishing up homeschool, and she goes to Cincinnati Christian University now. And she was always educated in a building that's about $120,000. So we really don't think the buildings are what really help the children the most. They help, but they don't help the most. I'll give you all a copy of this when we're done at the meeting today, but Yvonne wrote me a note. She said, it's come to my attention that, Joel, you converted your garage into a room. So can you tell me what we did to convert our garage into a room?
It was reported to me that there's a wall with a door leading into it. It's a building issue.
Yeah, that's what we did, because it's been a room for decades. So we didn't know that was converting it into a room. I'll give you all a photo of it after the meeting, but it's been a room for decades. Now, we did put the wall with the door in it there. So does that require a building permit?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
the building department requesting
Okay,
the
we didn't know
information.
that. How much is the building permit?
I wouldn't know that.
Okay. Is a building permit required if you put a bathroom in your basement?
I'm not really qualified to discuss the building code. I would imagine so, but I would have to defer those questions to our building official,
Okay.
if you want to call him.
Because,
or
yeah, I
find
can call him
out.
and ask him, because when we called the building official, when we did it several years ago, he said no. Let me ask you this. Is a building permit required if you kind of glass in your entranceway? I have a photo for that too. I'll give that to you all after the meeting. Do you know if there's building
You know what?
permits required for that?
Again, I'm
She's
not a
already
building
said that would be a
official.
question for the building.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'd really
And so
have
when
to-
I asked the building official that several years ago, he said no. And on both occasions, he pretty much said, well, that little stuff you don't need building permits for. So that's why I didn't even think to get a building permit for this wall that we put up around this portion of our house. So I was ready to give you money for the building permit now, but do you want me to give you some money for it and you just
No.
need me to change later?
What does,
Wait till,
what does
wait.
the letter say?
Office, that he needs to have
Well,
the building.
that was the building, so we don't know how much it is, I can't give you the right amount.
But,
And then at the end, it says, you wanted me to do the typical things for a building permit, and then it says, starting without a permit, which you're saying we've done typically, which we've not gotten a building permit, there's no doubt about that, typically carries a penalty of 200% of the permit fee. And if you could submit the required information within 7 days, which is by tonight, you would waive the penalty. Okay?
Well, I'd
So-
say tomorrow,
During-
take that up with Yvonne, or call the building official, and between Yvonne and the building official, they should be able to resolve this.
during normal business hours, when the building official's there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to call him tonight and get him.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so I could have that penalty still imposed upon me.
Mhm.
It's not our interest to penalize you for it. We just, I guess if it appears that there's something that required a permit, we want you to seek the permit. I think the letter should have been should have explained this pretty well.
Well, I still have questions about it. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, well, and again, I would have to defer this to the building official who could answer those questions.
Okay. And like I said, I'll give you all the photos when we're done tonight. Thanks much.
Mr. Suggs, may I ask a question? You said that you had asked for a building question before, prior to. Do you have the name of that person that you asked the question that responded no to?
Who was it 5, 10, 15 years ago?
It would have been Tom Eberly, but if you
I
put a,
always say Elfers. I always get that wrong.
if
It's
that,
Everly.
when Eberly was here, if you put a bathroom in the basement, you needed a building permit.
Okay, so I might
And if
get.
you put in a glass door in a new opening,
Mhm.
you needed a building permit.
Yeah, and then I was told wrong, apparently.
You were told wrong then,
Right.
because we did building permits back then for those type of things.
Yeah.
If you had a glass sliding door in place and replaced it with a new one, you did need a building permit. But if it was a brand-new structure where a door would go, you needed a building permit.
Okay, so I was told wrong years ago then. So that's why I didn't even think to ask for this one.
Yeah, yeah. If you do anything, almost anything of any kind of construction, you need a building permit, or at least to check, anybody out there watching, at least to check with the building department to see whether or not a permit is required. Because there are some things that we don't charge for, or require permits, but we do like to know what people are doing.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? All right, moving on. Reports of village officials, municipal manager Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. I have just a couple things I wanted to mention to council. Malloy's and Spoilsfield had their health inspections today, and both facilities had perfect reports. so we're pleased with that. Those are all available online if anybody's interested in reviewing those results. Also, the citizens have probably noticed, and all of you have probably noticed the work that the service department's been doing in removing trees. I think by now they've taken down probably about 34 or 35 trees. And if you recall, we bought a bucket truck just earlier this year, and certainly the savings for them to have taken those trees down already is probably more than paid for our bucket truck. And one thing that they are doing is leaving the larger logs for a period of time if there's anybody who wants those, but after about a week, they go by and pick them up if there's anything still there. And they also, like, who's ever home the trees in front of obviously would have kind of first dibs at the logs if they're interested, but otherwise they'll be there for a short time before they come and collect them. So because of all the trees they've been able to take down, our list for a vendor has shrunk, and now all we'll be doing for what we still have some very large trees to be removed, but we'll be able to do more just stump removal rather than whole tree removal. So that should save us a lot of money in that regard. Just one other thing, a couple other things on dates. Halloween will be on October 31st. That's a Monday night, I believe, from 6 to 8 p.m. We also have Harvest Fest coming up on October 15th from 1 to 9 p.m. And, oh yeah, there we go. And I also want to point out that the Alois Alzheimer's Center, their run is October 22nd. That's the week after our Harvest Fest, and that will be down in Winton Woods for anybody who's interested in that. So that concludes my report right now.
Okay, any questions? All right, moving on, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, nothing new to report tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. No questions? Clerk of Council Catherine Lives.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The August 2016 community calendar, as well as resolution numbers 2016 18F, 19F, 20 SNS, and 21 CD were posted as required. And if there are no questions, that would conclude my report.
Hearing none. Chief of Police Neil Fertelman.
Thanks, Mayor. Past month has been probably one of the busiest that we've had in recent memory, handled by probably the smallest staff that we've had in a while. But we are slowly rebuilding our staff, as you met 2 last month and 1 again tonight. So the following is a summary of the activities that we've enjoyed. 2 new Greenhills police officers, Zach Clark and Rob Lenhoff, were sworn in last month. Of course, Mark Yazbek was sworn in just a few moments ago. He comes to us after serving as a police officer at the Lindner Center in Mason and as a reserve officer in Terrace Park. And he is, as he mentioned, an Iraqi war veteran. On September 8th, Lieutenant Ward and I attended the Critical Issues Forum that was sponsored by the International Association of Chiefs of Police. It was a regional forum for police executives throughout Ohio, and it was sponsored at the University of Cincinnati. It was a very interesting forum. The president of the IACP there recounted many meetings that he's had recently in the White House over national law enforcement issues. On September 10th, right here in this room, we conducted a self-defense course for over 20 citizens. Our own Rob White, who's a state certified self-defense instructor, conducted the course, and we had, I think, a lot of more confident people leave the room after the session. On September 11th, along with our fire department, we participated in a very solemn procession from here in the municipal building down to the Commons to commemorate the 15th anniversary of September 11th. Earlier on September 11th, I had the privilege to speak to members of the Community Presbyterian Church, and then on the 20th to the Messiah Lutheran Church. We were very grateful to receive some needed donations for people that we routinely handle that find themselves short of food or short of gas money, and they gave us a grant in the amount of $300 that provided for that, as well as some blankets for the upcoming cooler season where sometimes we run into people who are in need. On September 18th, a resident in the H section was taken into custody after he threatened his family members. The SWAT team was being deployed, but before that happened, this individual surrendered to us, and we recovered a number of weapons, and that case is proceeding now through the grand jury. On September 22nd, our officers participated in the Coffee with a Cop, and that was down at the Village Troubadour, and I'm very proud of our own officer, Zach Clark, who organized that. We had a number of citizens who came out and visited with us. On September 9th, a gentleman appeared at our window, and I asked him what I could do for him, and he said, "No, it's what I can do for you. I'll be right back." And he came carrying a dress uniform of a chief of police at Greenhills, along with a command hat, and it was none other than Donald Slaughter, formerly of the Cincinnati Police Department, and 10 years as our police chief here, from 1984 to 1994. I told him he couldn't leave right away. I wanted to hear some tales, and he told me some delightful stories about his time. He actually retired as the chief of detectives of the Cincinnati Police Department before he was here. And I talked a little bit with Mayor Moore and former Mayor Aki about some of his time here, and they recounted he was an excellent police chief. So it was very nice of him to donate that. He and his wife are moving to assisted living, and they're clearing out their house, so we will proudly hang on to that and hopefully put it on display. On September 15th, again right here, we had our first class of our second Citizens Police Academy. Our first class alumni were here to help us to shuttle people back and forth to different stations as people toured the building. And we have our second session coming up later on in this week. During the month of August, the department investigated 6 accidents. That's up from 1 in August of last year. 7 crimes, down from 13 last year. 207 other incidents. We had a total of 653 contacts. 312 were dispatched or received by telephone as compared to 199 last year, and 341 of those were initiated by our officers. The department provided assistance to the public in 133 instances, assisted other agencies 33 times. We made 34 criminal arrests. That compares to 40 last August, and 57 traffic arrests compared to 46 last August. I wanted to conclude with 2 incidents that involved 2 of our officers. All you need to do to hear bad things about police officers is turn on the TV these days. But I wanted to tell you a couple of things that came across my desk this month. We received the following from a citizen that was addressed to Lieutenant Ann Ward. She wrote that on September 5th, 2016, we had a family member pass away. You were the first officer on the scene and the last to leave. During that time, you were at an address in the J section, and you went beyond the call of duty. We thank God that He has angels like you to help people like us in the time of need. I pray that God watches over you and continuously blesses you like you blessed us. Then on September 14th, I received a call from a Middletown resident who wanted to tell me about her daughter, who was stopped several weeks earlier by Officer Andy Moore. The motorist's mother related that her daughter was stopped for speeding, and referring to Officer Moore, she continued, "He did something that he didn't have to do. He saved my daughter's life." The girl who was stopped is 25, and she was dealing with many problems, including some addiction issues. She told the officer that she was ready to end her life. The mom relayed to me that Officer Moore spent a significant amount of time talking with her, including things that he had seen in his career and how quickly things can change for the better. She reported that the officer made her feel much better. The car stop occurred in April, and Officer Moore decided not to send her to court for the traffic offense and instead steered her towards counseling. The mother concluded that Officer Moore stayed with her daughter for a while and helped wipe her tears. She stated that the moment was a life-changing event for her daughter and believes it saved her life. She stated that her daughter followed through with the officer's advice, is now doing well, and to use her words, is smiling again. Small moments such as these are significant, and Officer Moore is being commended for a small moment that meant so much to one person and her family. Thanks, Mayor.
Very good. Any comments, questions? Okay, moving on. My report, and for some reason I have July's court results, but couldn't find August. But I'm sure he's passed them on to me, so we'll have them for the next meeting. That's basically it. I don't have anything else. Move on to committee reports. Community Development, Jeff Halder.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. been working with Doug Kohler on Harvest Fest signage. We went over to the garage to just see what needs to be done, and he's giving me a list that we can update. And I know he's a busy guy. Completed a Harvest Fest ad for the Journal, graciously donated by Thad Willard, and also am still working with the shopping center owner and those that surround him, trying to make good things happen down at the shopping center. It's been a challenge, as you know, with the water and the leakage problems and a number of things that are happening down there. I would just encourage everybody to not always fall on the side of judging him, because he is making some good moves, and I think we have to give him some time. He's done a number of things already. It doesn't mean he can't do more, and hopefully we can make that happen. It's a difficult situation to talk about because it seems so ethereal, but I know that he's working on a directory ad for the Greenhills Journal and a couple of other things, so let's hang in there with him and see what we can get done. And the only final thing I have is that we'll have a community development committee meeting on October 12th at 4:30. Thank you.
Any comments or questions? All right, traffic and safety, Melanie Hermes.
I just have a couple calendar dates to mention. Our next traffic and safety will be October 25th. A reminder that the turkey raffle will be Saturday, November 19th. And just a note to tell the chief that we'll get offline sometime, and I'll tell you some stories I have from my childhood with Chief Slaughter. So, all good. I mean, all positive, nothing criminal. It was just, my mom worked for the village, and so I knew him as a child. So, she's probably going to text me any second now. Sorry. Hi, Mom.
The mayor told me he had a great sense of humor.
Oh, he was quite a great sense of humor,
Yeah.
full of stories, both here and Cincinnati Police. Okay, Finance and Audit, Mr. Dries.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'd like to give everyone an update on where we are on a revenue and expense standpoint. And and this is as of August 31, and I'm going to give us the year-to-date kind of numbers because we've got enough months in the past so that we get a clearer picture when we're looking at the fiscal year numbers. As people might recall, on the revenue side, our biggest source of revenue is the 1.5% income tax. And in a year's time, that's a little over $1 million. As you know, there were changes to tax collection, and there were also changes in what is taxable income. And Rita, who's the tax collection agency, estimated, based on the changes of the law, their best guess was if everything else was static, that we would lose about $28,000 of the $1,050,000 that we typically get.
And this is a state loan, nothing we did.
That is correct, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to report that you guys are doing really well because tax collection for income tax is up 7.38%. So we're about $56,000 ahead of where we were last year. One of the other big slices of our revenue is on the real estate taxes. And this number, we're behind about $70,000 as of last year, but we haven't gotten the settlement from Hamilton County. We got it in August last year. We will get it in this month. So we're trending about the same on the real estate tax side. And then, so our overall general fund revenues are up about 1.1%. I think at the end of this quarter, at the end of September, we'll have some better apples to apples. So my read on the revenue side is we're doing slightly better than our projection and slightly better than last year. Our general fund balance, so that's the amount of money that we have in the checkbook to pay all our bills on a going forward basis, is about $142,000 less than we were sitting at last year. We're at $1,103,000. And for those of you that have been involved in conversations about our fund balance, we're going to see our fund balance decline for the next 2 or 3 years till we finish paying off the bonds for real estate. And though that fund balance, we keep a close eye on that, and we transfer money from the general fund into the non-voted debt fund to make those payments. And this year we transferred $333,000 in. Now for the other side of the equation, the expenses. Our expenses this year are about $250,000 higher as of the same time last year. And we've spent 61% of the dollars appropriated. So for those of you, as a reminder, the fiscal officer can't spend any till even though we pass a budget, he's not permitted to spend any money till we actually appropriate the money. So it's kind of like we put the money into the checkbook for him to spend. And so when you are 8/12 or 3/4 of the way through the year, you would think that all other things being equal, you would have spent about 75% of the money. And so we're, did I do that right? Yeah. 8/12, yeah. We're at 61%, so that's good. And when you drill down, we have some bigger expenses towards the end of the year, but right now, we're kind of just performing as we projected. We've done a good job being conservative with spending your dollars, and we continue to look for ways to increase revenue that isn't necessarily painful to people. So that's where we're at right now. And on the expense side, or on the revenue side, there's a couple of things that are a little different that I didn't mention. We will start seeing some of the money that we're collecting for garbage into that number. So we'll have to try to make it as apples to apples as possible for you in the future. We will have one more supplemental appropriation in 2016, so we will start that process with a finance committee meeting sometime in October at a time that will be determined. So that's it on the financial piece. I did want to report to the mayor that I have successfully delivered the beautification awards. that
Good.
have been handed out. And it's always good to do those. I took my life in my own hands and delivered the rest of them right after the Bengals loss on Sunday. But some of you were even pleasant at the door when I knocked on your door so you received those.
Very good.
That's the end of my report.
Any questions? Okay, recreation, cable television, Maria Walther.
For the part of the cable television portion, I want to present the fact that they had a meeting on September the 14th, and present was, from our side, from Greenhills, was Jonathan Palmer, Melanie Hermes, and Galina Costa. There were also representatives from Forest Park, and of course, it was the director, Chip Berquist, and the government access coordinator, Jason Gerserick, present.
Nancy Moore was there as well.
Nancy Moore, okay, Nancy Moore was,
She was acting as chair.
okay. The one comment that Chip had made was that Colerain opted not to renew their contract at this time, but agreement was met in which the board meetings and graduations, et cetera, based on equipment and staff availability, they will meet that. Mrs. Hermes reported operating fund balance, capital reserve funds, major reserve funds, and operating reserve funds. She reported that we are on target And they had a little setback on June. They had 3 computers that were stolen. It was traced back to an employee of now the former cleaning services. And she also said that there was no impact seen or felt at this time from the Warner Cable merger. Resolution was adopted as an employee policies and procedures manual after an amendment was made to that. And the next meeting will be December the 14th at 7 p.m. On the side of recreation, boy, we are doing really well with the Harvest Fest. As I understand, 27 booths are already paid for. We have maybe one more to offer, and that's it. We have a lot of new activities offered. We do need some helpers for that date, October 15th, especially for the pumpkin bowling that we have. And I believe there was one more activity for that we needed some help. If there's any recreation commissioners listening, please give us a call. We need somebody to man those areas. We have also secure a series of really fun activities and some new things as well. And I was just delivered the list of adding on the laser tag. We have the petting zoo. We have bouncing houses. We have snow cones. We have the hay ride. We have jewelry, handcrafts, live music, several offerings there for the live music as well. So it's shaping up to be absolutely a delightful time, and I would really encourage and invite everybody from the Village of Green Hills and anybody else that listened to this broadcast that to please come forth. It's a really good time had by all, and not only that, but just sharing with your neighbors. It's really very special. So please come down and have fun. That's all you have to do. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Comments or questions?
I'm just, one comment, I'm surprised we didn't hear about the apple pie contest again.
Well, we just finalized
It's a pie contest, not an apple pie, right?
Oh, that's right.
No, it's a pie contest, and we already have narrowed down the tasters for that, so, we got.
10 tasters?
No, we said 5. Chief of Police, very graciously volunteered as one of them. So we tried to have someone, a former council member, that's Kenny Burke, a present one that is Mr. Dries. So we have a cross-section.
See you at the table, chief.
We have a cross-section of the population and so for some of residents from the village, etc. So it's a new item added to it, and I think it adds to the season, to the pumpkin pie, apple pie, pecan pie, all kinds of that season pie. And we're going to have a little prize at the end, and perhaps it's a ribbon. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Kobach. I think it's a ribbon and perhaps some kind of
All I had to do is
proclamation.
throw a match on that.
Any other questions, Mr. Halter?
Okay.
So that's going to be extremely special, and it's a new item, new feature. We have quite a few new items on the Harvest Fest. So please
All
do
right.
come down.
Okay, moving on, intergovernmental affairs, laws and rules, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Jeff. Laws and Rules and Intergovernmental Affairs met yesterday morning and really boiled down to 3 issues that were discussed. The first being medical marijuana issue that has been passed by the state. Committee has taken a position to propose a moratorium, and we'll be bringing forth some recommended language on that at a future council meeting. that we can discuss and debate. Also, we discussed some changes in outdated code sections regarding electrical permits, and also amending code sections regarding motorized bikes. This was something that was discussed and referred to us by Traffic and Safety, and discussed with the police chief and Chief Furtleman went over the act or the code sections that he was looking to amend. We made some suggested changes in wording, and that one will probably be coming back to us at a future meeting. We are scheduled to meet again on October 24th, Monday at 9 a.m. So, and that's all I have at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Comments or questions?
I received on the email a program that Sharonville had done in the past. They did it for 3 sessions in June, July, and August for heroin addiction. And then they had another set of it for the marijuana situation as well. I don't know if you had received that or you had heard any comments of that. Okay. I may pass that along to you. Because I think that they have done a number of things like that in which all of Hamilton County participates into that, and I think that would be something that we really need to spend some time going to those meetings, maybe divided between ourselves or something like that.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, Service and Streets, Jeff Cabot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Streets and Services met yesterday at 5 o'clock, and we went over a few things in old business, one of which is the salt bid, which we have an ordinance that I'll be reading later. We also discussed, it's an ongoing process with the street signs that we're going to update, but we're putting that on the table now until we find out a little bit more about the Phase 3 here on Winton Road to see what kind of base the street lights are going to have, so that maybe we can match basically the bottom of the pole kind of will match on the street signs as the new poles for the lights going up and down Winton Road. Yvonne touched on the tree removal, and 34 was the number that Mike told me yesterday, and he said they've got about 15 left that they're going to be able to do as the village employees.
And he took down at least 4 today.
All right, almost the single digits. The banner poles out here in front of the municipal building, we've had some issues, or I guess it's come to our knowledge about the bolts on those are actually getting to the point where they probably are going to fail. Good news is the poles themselves look like they are structurally sound, so we're going to be able to save those, take them down at some point, reuse them, repaint them, and for the cost of basically 2 new cement pads on either side of the road, we're going to come out ahead without having to buy new poles. So that was some good news. The street painting has been completed for this year. Estimated 100 gallons of paint was used. The catch basins, the one in front of the library, has been repaired and is completed. There are 2 more down near the pool that Ford Construction is going to take care of, and Michael is keeping an eye on some of the other ones around town, and at that point we'll probably put those out for a bid on those. Under new business, the 2006 Ford 450, one of our dump trucks, recently had a bed that went bad, so we've replaced that bed. The truck itself is in good shape, so I think we're going to get a longevity out of that. The 94 Ford, Mike tells me he's going on the surplus list, which I'm not real familiar with what that means, other than it sounds like it's on its way to the scrapyard.
Right. That means we'll bring it back to council. We'll approve a resolution that declaring it surplus property, and then we'll
Okay.
put it on an auction site.
Last couple of things, the grass cutting for the village, we're going to put that back out to bid this fall. Had some issues with the current vendor at that through the summer. And then finally, Mike is working his way around town, in regards to some patching of the asphalt. We know there's some trouble spots, and he has his list together, and at some point, we're going to get a load from our vendor, which has to be done in about the next 30 to 45 days, otherwise it gets too cold and the patch won't adhere right. So he's going to be working on that over the next couple of months. And Streets and Services has a meeting scheduled for Monday the 24th at 5 o'clock. And that concludes my report.
Okay, comments or questions? All right, hearing none, new business. We have ordinance number 2016-07-LNR, an ordinance amending various portions of the Greenhills Code of Ordinances, which we had our public hearing about at 7 o'clock, discussing that. Mr. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2016-07-LNR, ordinance amending various portions of the Greenhills Code of Ordinances, whereas the Village Council forwarded proposed zoning amendments to the Greenhills Planning Commission for consideration and recommendation, and whereas the Greenhills Planning Commission, after due consideration and public hearing, Planning Commission has recommended approval of the attached amendments, and whereas the Village Council conducted a public hearing on the amendments, now therefore be ordained by the Village of Green Hills, Section 1, the proposed amendments to the Green Hills Planning and Zoning Code attached Exhibit A to this ordinance are hereby approved by council. This is the first reading.
All right, we have resolution number 2016-22-SNS, authorizing the municipal manager to purchase road de-icing salt from Compass Materials, Inc. Mr. Cavode.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2016-22-SNS, authorizing the municipal manager to purchase road de-icing salt from Compass Minerals America Incorporated. Whereas it is necessary that the village have road salt on hand for the treatment of village streets during inclement weather. And whereas the Village of Green Hills has participated in the Hamilton County cooperative bid process for the purchase of road salt. And whereas a result of said bid process, the village has determined that Compass Minerals America Incorporated is the lowest and best bidder at a price of $50.07 per ton. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Green Hills, Ohio. Section 1, that the municipal manager is hereby authorized to accept the bid proposal from Compass Minerals America Incorporated for the purchase of road salt pursuant to the bid specifications incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that the Village of Green Hills is further authorized to pay Compass Minerals America Incorporated a price of $50.07 per ton of road salt pursuant to said contract. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 2016-22-SNS. Any comments or questions?
Just a reminder, what was the price last year?
It was like $70.49 a ton, so it's significantly lower.
And I think
It's
our
wonderful.
tonnage for the year was 80,
Actually,
800?
we were really lucky last, we always say we're gonna buy about 800, but last year I know we didn't come anywhere
So
close.
800 tons times 25,
But that's what we,
it's almost, yeah, $20,000 we're saving with this competitive bid
Great.
process, so.
yeah, it was great.
What
Yeah.
does the
Good to see
Farmer's
that come back around.
Almanac say for this year?
Yeah.
I don't know, does anybody know?
I'm not gonna open up that can of worms.
Clerk, call the roll.
Cavode,
Aye.
Dries.
Aye.
Halter,
Aye.
Hermes,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Walther,
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2016-22-SNS passes. All right, calendar?
Streets and Services, October 24th, 5 o'clock.
The Harvest Fest, October the 15th, from 1 to 9, and we haven't had a recreation meeting. We have had problems with timings and with the commission and with the committee members. So we are just putting all our effort forth, the Harvest Fest for October 15th. Anybody listening, we can also use some help on the 14th. helping to set up, to clean up. We are very fortunate that we have some help in that sense, that they were power wash and clean and so forth. But we really do need help also on the 14th to set up the whole back of the shopping center in order to have everything ready for the 15th. So we appreciate any help that we can get. Thank you very much.
Halloween, October 31st, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And the golf course is still open every day that it's sunny.
Community Development, October 12th, 4:30.
Traffic and Safety, October 25th. Oh, what's,
What time?
yeah.
During the
Is
day.
it, no, it's not during the day. It is at,
I think it's at 6.
I think it's at 6.
6 o'clock, yeah.
Okay. At 6. And then the turkey raffle, Saturday, November 19th. And if you ask, I think that's also at 6.
6 till they're all
Yeah,
gone.
6 to 10.
Or till they run out of turkeys.
Yeah.
The last Manager's Park
That it?
Talk is on Tuesday, October 4th at the picnic shelter.
They never run out of turkeys.
What time is the park talk?
6 o'clock.
6.
Laws and Rules, October 24th, Monday at 9 a.m.
Anything else?
Oh, and Run for the Good on October 22nd.
All right. Hearing nothing else, the meeting's adjourned.